Peace, y'all. What's going on? Going over some of my notes. This is part 3 of class of SHU AMUN RA. Let's pay all due respect to the Creator. The sun rises. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Amu. Let me throw some ticks at you. Now we into the chapter of the feminist movement, right? And we need to understand something, how the feminist movement came from white folks that don't belong to black people. They use black people to jump aboard, as the young lady said in my second sermon, right? They used the black woman because they needed numbers. The more numbers you got, the more they can use to grow. You gotta understand something. This is not new. The feminist movement is nothing new. But I want to jump right into it, and I want to let you see how the Black Panther woman speaks on feminism. Telling you that I think I'm gonna go to Shahara's Ali also let us speak about it too. I think about it, but let me jump right in because I don't want to talk too much about it. I want the video, and then I'm gonna narrate behind that. So let's get into it. I'm SHU AMUN RA, and this video is part 3 of the black man and the black woman. Why they're having a problem dating? Like, is it hard for them to date other melanin people? And does language matter? Let's get into it. Feminism, the movement, as part of destroying the black man and the black woman.
I was attracted to the Panthers because they were speaking the language I needed to speak at that moment in time, as was Malcolm X, as was Stokely Carmichael, i.e. a radical language, not about turning the other cheek. If somebody wants to knock me about on the basis of the color of my skin, I am not going to turn the other cheek. I've never been a turn the other cheek kind of person. I've always, you want to slap me? I'll whoop you down.
We must continue to delve deeper into the philosophy of nonviolent resistance. There is something about this method that has power. It has morality with it because it gives us the opportunity to work to secure moral ends through moral means.
The nonviolent structure didn't appeal to us. We never denounced it. Doesn't mean other people shouldn't do it. It's just it doesn't appeal to us because it this is how Stokely Carmichael put it, it depends on the white man having a conscience. You have to believe that there's a conscience in your oppressor for nonviolence to work.
Well, I think the country made a mistake when they killed Dr. King. It would have been far better if they'd killed Rap Brown or myself, because then they could say to black people that we're preaching guns, and he who preaches or lives by the sword will die by the sword. But they couldn't do that for Dr. King because he preached love, and there is no possible way for them to make an excuse of Dr. King's killing. So when they killed Dr. King, they just opened up the eyes of a lot of black people.
If I put it in, I think I put it in. Now I took it out, I think.
In New York at this time, there is Panthers reunited. So Panthers from all over the world, from Australia, from the UK, from Israel, from India, have got together to remember our time back in the day.
People who, when they were young, were Panthers, were revolutionaries, were in this moment, who had the same dreams, had the similar understanding, and the energy that we could band together and we can change this. That's what's so exciting. Now we're grandparents.
You're beautiful and you need it.
People were scared of the Panthers. But what got less media attention was the welfare programs that the Panthers inspired. Like the Aboriginal medical services, the legal services, and the breakfast program for the kids. And that was run by the women. Kathleen. Kathleen. How are you? Come on in my house. It's so beautiful to see you. Come on in.
That's you. Had your name on it. Thank you. You're welcome.
You teach with Akinelli?
Yeah. My chair.
I work at Georgia State.
Yeah.
In the school Institute of Public Health.
And it's like all the politics and oppression of where we were as black women. Man, you know, like we just tolerated so much in order to get the message out there. But it was so annoying to a point where we had to keep a silent code at times in order to get the general message out there for the general wider black community. We put up with a lot of shit. We endured a lot.
The women?
Yeah.
I was on the Boston chapter, so I think that.
Isabel Coe, who just passed away recently, and Lana Doolan. These are the women a bit older than me that I looked up to.
I think the women at that time didn't really want to get involved with feminism. It was only small little bits and pieces of women at that time. They were more so involved with the struggle or with the platform of the struggle, you might as well say.
When our Black Panther movement began in the mid-60s, it was similar in time. The women's liberation movement in the white community began, and they were assuming that our pattern was their pattern, that they have domination by powerful men, and that women have to be liberated in this little context for women liberated from men. Well, we didn't have that context. We saw what we needed to be liberated from was racism.
I'm suspicious of people who undermine the party on the gender issue. I'm highly suspicious. There wasn't the imperative of that moment in history to deal entirely with the gender issue. And we certainly weren't going to divide our movement on the basis of gender. That would have been ridiculous. We were already in a mass minority. Why would you divide your forces?
When you start moving, you know, getting out of the oppression that you've been under, and the men start wanting to assert themselves, you think you have to then hold back, step back, and let them go forward first, or what?
Well, I believe that a black woman's place is behind her man. I mean, most of the men now the black men wouldn't be where they are today if it wasn't for a black woman.
Black men are going through violence every day of their lives, and you women just talk about liberating women, want to liberate yourselves, while there's the blacks are going through violence every day of their lives. And you just talk about women's liberation. Everyone has to liberate themselves. Blacks have to liberate themselves. We can't liberate you. And that's what we're trying to say to you. We can't afford a split at the moment. And we can't liberate.
If the men were oppressing us, it's not like we didn't know that. It's not like that we wanted to be victims. We knew we were victims. We got our strength from each other. What, are we going to go to the police if they abuse us? They hurt us in any way? That's the symptomatic of racism. No, the black women were making the sacrifice.
Our men were already demonised by the media. If we pointed the finger at one man, they would say it was all black men.
Very, very interesting, brothers and sisters, gods and goddesses. You see, now we're beginning to learn more and more and more why the black man and the black woman, the structure is being destroyed. So I believe it's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy to destroy the black man and the black woman. So in the future, we be in small numbers. What do you need a feminist movement for? Why did white women needed a feminist movement? That was for them. Why do you want black women to join the feminist movement? Why? Because you don't want the black woman to be with her man? No. That feminist movement was orchestrated. And the next video I'm about to drop on you is going to show you this. Then they got gender. All these things is to divide and conquer the black man and the black woman. All these things. Let me tell you something else that a lot of you don't understand. Code talking in America. This is why you need to get this book. I got this book with Nellie Fuller. I want you to hold on for a minute. Just bear with me. And make sure you got your pencils and papers. Now, this is why a lot of people are misunderstood, because you do not understand what's going on. You don't understand the secretism of racism. I got this book by Nellie Fuller. Nellie Fuller's been around for a long time. The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. A textbook, workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism and white supremacy. Nellie Fuller. How many do you have this book here? Huh? This is his first book. How many do you have it? Read this book, because this book will help you to deal with white supremacism. Because they've broken down our barriers. And guess what? We allowed it. But more than anything, I'm going to throw a little point about how they use racism so well. They divided us, right, between the field nigger and the house nigger. Remember that? Telling the house black man and woman, you're better than him. They low. They work in the fields. Next, you light skin. Look how beautiful you are. She's ugly because she's dark, because she works in the field. That places psychic in the mind. Well, guess what happens? You continue hearing that. Next, you know, you begin to display that. And they did. And they did. We talk about generations after generations of mind games. Mind games. You're brainwashed. You've been bamboozled. And now, they allowed you to run around rapidly, and you all confused. You got the feminist movement. You got the gender movement. You allow language barrier screw you around. But you all go through the same thing. Dark skin, light skin, mulatto Creole, light, dark, darker brown. That's the same thing with people who speak Latin. They do the same thing. That's why I told you, contrast it, put it all in one basket, the melanin race. That's it. You could destroy all that. The melanin race. We're from the darkest to the lightest melanin people on the planet. But when you start trying to divide, oh, well, we speak Latin because that's what happened. You can't push these things away. You seen when the Black Panther says, well, some of them came from Australia. You seen the black and white video when I showed you? The woman, she was from Australia. Some of them came from Great Britain. They were Black Panthers. They ain't got no time for, well, I'm from this country. I speak this language. Nah, they understood the movement. They say they black men. Understand this. Ain't nobody got time for dividing. This is the problem. You're dividing in so many issues because you allow them to create issues. Now we're going to get into another video where Angela Davis basically breaking it down about that bullcrap feminist movement. Angela Davis. Let's get into it. Because you got to understand the trickery to the game. You got to get these books. You got to do your homework. Yes, we dealing with a war. It's a war. And I'm going to show you something. The art of war. You got to understand something. This ain't no game being played up here. This is real. You got to buy books that's going to help you strategize the outlook. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. What you think? I just bought it because I wanted to? I bought the book to always keep my mind thinking how to defeat the enemy. This is why you get these books and read them. You got to educate yourself. I'm guiding you to do what you got to do. You got to read. Don't follow me. You got to find yourself and know thyself. Why you can't hold no relationship? Why you seem to want to mess with the white woman? What you want to do that for? Huh? You want to have sexual relationships and make babies with this woman? Huh? Especially you ones who's successful or whatever career you into. Huh? Then you want to walk away and say, oh, I can't be around certain people. Listen here. You make a mistake, they'll kill you. They've done it. Now some people are like, well, you being a bigot. You being a bigot about what? Did we start this war? Did we start this war? Huh? We got to clean up our backyard. Understand this. They got to clean our backyard first. You sitting there worrying about everybody else. The black man and the black woman. And I got to say it, I got to say it again. Don't let language mess your mind up. This is how the movement somehow got divided from the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, because I'm a 60s baby, so you ain't gonna tell me nothing. Okay? I know all about the movement. Black Panthers, the Disciples, all these different organizations that the system helped to destroy. And then the black man had to go out there and try to do whatever he got to do to provide his family. Wore his ass out. Now, some fathers, like my father, you know what I'm saying? He had many different trades. And that's what he taught us. He taught his sons have many different trades underneath your belt. He always used to mention that, my father. Have many different skills. Don't go with one skill. Have 4 or 5 skills, just in case. And never be scared to start your own business. Understand that. Let's get to this video right quick. The Art of War. Read it. It's a strategy book. That's what it is.
And perhaps let me move on to say that, you know, the mainstream feminist movement has made serious mistakes. You know, I often point out that when I wrote a book that was published in 1981 called Women, Race, and Class, everybody started referring to me as a feminist, and my response was, I'm not a feminist. You know, I'm a black revolutionary. Because I didn't see how the two had anything to do with each other. But I realized that I was talking about a certain kind of feminism, a bourgeois feminism, a feminism that is still, unfortunately, white bourgeois feminism, which is unfortunately the most represented feminism today, and most people think of that as feminism. But that ignores the fact that huge numbers of organic and academic intellectuals who are women of color have transformed the very nature of feminism. And the hallmark of feminism today is what we call intersectionality, a recognition of and not only the interrelating character of identities, but as I frequently say, I think intersectionality is most helpful when we think about the intersectionality of social justice struggles. The mistake made by mainstream feminism and its continued reliance on categorical representations of women. As soon as one assumes that women can be categorically represented, it means that there is some clandestine racialization happening there, right? And you hear the term glass ceiling feminism. I don't know whether you have that here. Glass ceiling feminism. This is what Hillary Clinton represented. But glass ceiling feminism is represented, it's grounded from the very outset in hierarchies. I mean, how else does that metaphor work? Those who are already high enough to reach the ceiling are probably white, and then if they're not white, they are already affluent because they're at the top. All they have to do is push through the ceiling. And as long as I have identified as a feminist, it has been clear to me that any feminism that privileges those who already have privilege is bound to be irrelevant to poor women, working class women, women of color, trans women of color. If standards for feminism are created by those who have already ascended economic hierarchies and are attempting to make the last climb to the top, how is this relevant to women who are at the very bottom? Revolutionary hope resides precisely among those women who have been abandoned by history and who are now standing up and making their demands heard. I truly believe, and men should applaud this, that this is the era of women. I truly believe that. And I am referring not to the women who only have to break the ceiling to get where they want to go. but I'm referring to the women at the very bottom: poor women, black women, Muslim women, indigenous women, queer women, trans women. As a matter of fact, trans women of color have been most despised, most subject to state violence, most subject to individual violence. And so it seems to me that we can say that people who have suffered in that way, when they begin to rise, the whole world will rise with them. The whole world will rise with them. If we stand up against racism, we want much more than inclusion. Inclusion is not enough. Diversity is not enough. And as a matter of fact, we do not wish to be included in a racist society. If we say no to heteropatriarchy, then we do not want to be assimilated into a misogynist and heteropatriarchal society. If we say no to poverty, we do not want to be contained by a capitalist structure that values profits more than human beings. If we recognize that those who wanted to solve the problem of slavery by creating more humane forms of slavery were employing the logic of racism, we say that those who call for police reform and prison reform while retaining the racist structures as they pretend to address the problems of racism, that they are absolutely wrong. And this is why we say no to carceral feminism and yes to abolition feminism. Yes to abolition feminism. And so I want to conclude by suggesting that our notions of revolution need to be far more capacious than they have been in the past. Certainly, we need to dispose of what has become an unmanageable system of global capitalism that permits the 8 richest billionaires in the world to control as much wealth as the poorest half of the population. That is absolutely obscene. And even those billionaires should think that it's obscene. But also recognize that we must be prepared to continually challenge that which appears to us to be most normal. Revolution upsets normative processes, class-based, gender-based, race-based, sexuality-based, ability-based, and I'm just beginning the list. And in this sense, there will always be revolutions looming in the future. Thank you very much.
Wow. You see the difference? Angela Davis dropping it like it's hot? Huh? Gotta get your pencils and papers out, right? Dropping out information. You see, black women are tired of being told to join someone else's group when the whole black movement, the revolutionary. See, black women ain't talking about leaving their husbands. Those are different kind of women. But I'm trying to figure out, here in 2018, here in a social status and a lower income, this war is piling up to a patty cake. We seem to not to be able to walk together, talk together, love each other. We still at war with one another. With so many issues on top of issues. Gods and goddesses, kings and queens, brothers and sisters, however you want to be called. When you sit down and begin to understand the system, is also part of the issue. The system is the number one issue of destroying the black man and the black woman. Some of you can't see it because you got your little careers. So your selfish attitude is there. So you can't see it. You want to follow everything they do. Listen here. We got to reconstruct the way we think. We got to reconstruct the way we raise our children. We got to reconstruct how we have our relationships. We got to reconstruct to figure out who is who, knowing just because your language or where you come from, it doesn't matter. If you are melanin and you feel the frequency, you feel that positive attitude, that strength, you ain't here to try to please somebody. You here to please yourself. You here to please the one you say you love. Then you got to provide a family structure rooted in and begin to build your journey. Understand this. I'm SHU AMUN RA. Remember this. I'm going to show you these books. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Strategize. Why would you not want to be with an African woman? Because she African? Who told you you ain't supposed to be with her? Why would you not want to be with no Cuban woman? Who told you? Ain't she melanin? The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. How to deal with racism. Y'all need to get these books. I'm telling you. See you in part 4.